My name is Abigail Advincula, and I am president of the Case Engineers Council, the group of dedicated individuals who have worked so hard to put on Engineers Week for Case Western Reserve University 2016. So on their behalf, I would like to thank you all for coming to the Engineers Week Banquet 2016. This year's 2016 theme, Forging the Future, celebrates the role that engineers have in creating the world of tomorrow. Engineers Week is a yearly tradition at Case Western Reserve University. The purpose is twofold. The first is to give back to the Cleveland community. About 2 weeks ago, at the Engineering Carnival that kicks off Engineers Week, we had over 100 engineers from Case Western Reserve University volunteer to help spread and promote STEM among Cleveland youth to over about 400 participants. Isn't that wonderful? I truly think that we inspired some future scientists and engineers. The second is to create the best engineering community in the nation. We do that by connecting alumni, faculty, students, and companies like yourself at events like this. Throughout the rest of E-Week, Case students got a chance to inspire and be inspired with events such as the ThinkBox Inspiration Tour, the Wiser Lightbulb Drop, the Deloitte Counseling Panel, and much more. Tonight, we have the pleasure of hearing from Didier Roux from Saint-Gobain. We have heard wonderful things about you from your colleagues and are very excited to hear from you. So thank you, sir. At this moment, I would invite all the Engineers Week Council to stand, or the Case Engineers Council. Please remain standing. So, I didn't tell you that, did I? Okay. So, Case is filled with many very smart, very talented people, but by far the people in the Case Engineers Council have been some of the most talented and dedicated people that I know. So thank you for being on this team, and thank you for making E-Week a success. I'm very proud to have been elected your president, and it's been an honor serving with you. Give them one more round of applause. Not to take all the credit, this E-Week would have not been possible without the collaboration of many engineering organizations at Case Western Reserve. So with that, I'd like to recognize the following: the Society of Women Engineers, the National Society of Black Engineers, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, IEEE, Case Radio Club, and the Women in Science and Engineering Roundtable. We would also like to thank our corporate relations team and the Division of Engineering Leadership and Professional Practice. You have worked with us every step of the way since September, and your mentorship and feedback have been invaluable to us. So thank you. Last but not least, our heartfelt thanks go out to the Case Alumni Association. Thank you for making this event possible. We cannot thank you enough. And now I would like to turn over the floor to the Executive Director of the Case Alumni Association, Steve Zinnerman.
Thanks, Abby. Before we start this part of the program, we'd like to encourage everyone to feel free to go ahead and get started on your salads and rolls. When Dr. Didier is done speaking, we'll get started with our main course. The Case Alumni Association is proud to once again be a sponsor of this event. We'd also like to take a moment and thank our longtime sponsors, Accenture, for their continued support. The other sponsors of Engineers Week Banquet at the gold and silver level include GE Lighting, Parker Hannifin, Lubrizol, Case School of Engineering, Deloitte, and ASM International. In addition, we'd also like to recognize all the sponsors for tonight's event and throughout the week. For those sponsors who are here this evening, I hope you'll join us in the future and sponsor more of the Engineers Week Banquet for years to come. As you can see behind me, the list of these sponsors is growing each year, and it's a true testament to our students and our faculty. So thank you. Now for a commercial message. The Case Alumni Association is currently celebrating its 130th anniversary this year. Our organization has grown over the time, and it's also changed. Our alumni network now spans not just the United States, but rather across the globe. Let me take a moment to show you the power of the Case Alumni Network. If you're a graduate of Case, whether it's bachelor's, master's, or PhD, would you please stand for a moment, all of our alumni? Please remain standing for a moment, all of our alumni, because there's another part of our network that I haven't mentioned as of yet. If you're a graduate student, a PhD candidate, or a current undergrad student in Case, would you please rise? Take a look around. Imagine how this talent of alumni is growing into a powerful worldwide network of Case alumni. Where will this go in the next 10 years? Where will all of these people be? You've all been through the same rigorous training. You've all been taught by the same world-class faculty, all in the same quad on the same campus. I would hope that all of you here tonight will reach out to each other and pledge to continue to grow this very powerful alumni network. Thank you. Now, any alumni network, no matter how talented, needs a vision, a sense of purpose. The Case Alumni Association and its members are no different. For us, it starts at the top of the organizational chart with Jeff Dirk, our dean, and a fellow alumnus. He brings a vision of innovation, a vision that knows no boundaries, a vision that's within sight. It is my honor to introduce the Dean of the Case School of Engineering, Jeff Dirk. Let me grab that. I've been sick. I'm not getting you sick.
So thank you, Steve. Now, Steve encouraged all of you to start your salads. What I would like to do is encourage you to finish your salads in the next 10 minutes so you can give your undivided attention to our speaker in just a few minutes. So kick it up a notch. So like Abby and like Steve, what I'd like to do is reach out and thank not only the Case Alumni Association, but our corporate relations, the folks in the Alumni Association, Debbie Fatika and Janine Apadone in the Case School of Engineering. Yeah. And of course, Abby and all of the students in the Case Engineering Council. So tonight, our featured department is the Department of Materials Science and Engineering, and I have the great pleasure of introducing Dr. Frank Ernst, the new chairman of the department. Frank? And I hope everyone has taken a chance to look at some of the poster exhibits that our students and faculty from Materials Science and Engineering had outside. I think this is a great opportunity for me to thank our partners from Colloquy who sponsored the reception and the exhibition of our students. So for our friends at Colloquy and our online master's program, thanks to you as well. So a year ago, I stood up here and I talked about what I thought some of the interesting challenges were for engineering in the future. And today, what I'd like to talk about for just a few minutes are things I'm particularly proud of. When I look back to last February, I think of all of the new faculty we've recruited, the new class of freshman students, over 560 students that represent the best and brightest that the School of Engineering has recruited, and the fact that they're from all around the world. Over the past 12 months, we've seen increases in our research funding, increases in the diversity of our students, and most importantly, we've opened the Ritchie Mixon building and achieved the vision for ThinkBox that for many of you we promised a long time ago. And I hope that all of you agree at the undergraduate level that perhaps we have exceeded your dreams in terms of providing you a world-class innovation and entrepreneurship, which is the largest on any campus in the United States, if not the world. Now, one of the things when we put ThinkBox together, we in the School of Engineering took stewardship responsibility, but we didn't take ownership responsibility. And by that, what I mean is we took great opportunities in bringing in other resources from the university campus. We brought in the Intellectual Property Venture Clinic from the School of Law, the Idea Club from the Weatherhead School of Management. We provide office hours for Weatherhead School of Management faculty in order to create an ecosystem that represents not just experiential learning for engineering students, but for engineering students to work with students from the Cleveland Institute of Art, from their colleagues in Weatherhead, from faculty in Weatherhead and the law school, to really drive innovation and entrepreneurship far beyond the boundaries of which would be achieved if we only had an engineering perspective. Now, many of you have been to my office, have seen an equation on the wall that says the sum of all anecdote doesn't equal data. So I'm going to present a little bit of data for you. In the last few years, our student startups have raised over $3.2 million in angel and VC funding, and some of those students are here today. Felipe Gomez del Campo, who's here at my table, has done things like met President Obama because of his innovative technology in jet engine fuel consumption, as well as the fact that Felipe was named to Forbes' 30 Under 30. At our homecoming competition that was held in this very room, we offered undergraduate students the opportunity to compete for the chance to go to this year's Consumer Electronics Show and provide their startup opportunities. And I'm very happy that Zyla Foxland is here and Tyler Elston. Both of them are second-year mechanical and engineering students who have already been to the Consumer Electronics Show. Both of them have gotten great attention. Now, I'm oftentimes asked, what do engineers do, or what's it like to be an engineer? And some might say that we as engineers create technology, or we as engineers make things. And of course, the joke is that we as engineers drive trains. But I think we all know that what we really do is solve problems. So whether it be improving fuel economy in a jet engine, providing low-cost robotic manipulators, or providing opportunities across the great distance of the internet for we to remain connected with our faculty members, all of those represent interesting engineering problems that we've attacked. Now, what that means on the first step is that we as engineers really need to understand what's the underlying need. To understand that need, we need to be able to ask questions, listen to answers, write notes and reports, and truly, as a first step, build on our network of expertise and communication skills. And one of the reasons I love the Engineering Week banquet is the reception hour that occurs before our dinner time is really an opportunity for us to practice some of those skills, to talk to each other, to listen to what we're up to perhaps identify the need, but also to make connections that we wouldn't otherwise have had the opportunity to do. I want to give special thanks to the Case Engineers Council and the group of students who this year identified the theme of forging the future and shaping the world. That really represents, I think, a great transformation in terms of a metaphor for all the other things that happened this week. For example, the light bulb drop that's going to happen not today or not this week, but it's actually going to happen tomorrow, correct? Okay, so it happened this morning, I'm sorry. On my calendar, it says it's tomorrow, so. The light bulb drop is really a metaphor for some of the engineering challenges that some of you students are going to face next year. How do you work in the transportation industry and keep a passenger safe? How do you keep a sensor system safe from a harsh environment? The light bulb drop is simply a metaphor for that. The airplane toss is a metaphor for low-cost, simple, effective, energy-efficient transportation. And while each event has a deeper meaning at their core, they're also really, really fun. And to me, that's what the greatest joy of being an engineer is. The opportunity for us to take our disciplinary skills, our networks, to bring together technology and tackle problems that really gives a lot of satisfaction. So for me, the great part of being an engineer is it's really, really fun, and I hope all of you feel that way as well. One of the great things that we have in terms of our relationship with Saint-Gobain is the fact that they provide opportunities for our students to enter into a design competition and experience that fun of being a real engineer at the undergraduate level. And it's my pleasure tonight, so this is where you put your forks down, okay? Okay, so as I just said, this is where you put your forks down, because I'm going to be introducing our keynote speaker, and I want to make sure all of your attention is directed to him. Okay, so here we go. So because of this unique and special relationship that I think we have with Case Western Reserve and the great sponsorship they have not only of our faculty research, but also our student design competition, it's really an honor for me to introduce Dr. Didier Roux. Didier is the Vice President for Research, Development, and I think importantly, and Innovation at Saint-Gobain. Didier is an alumnus of École Normale Supérieure de Saint-Cloud, and he has completed his doctorate in chemistry from the University de Bordeaux. He's a recipient of numerous awards around the world and honors, including the Innovation Medal of the French National Center for Scientific Research, from which he was a member from 1980 to 2005. In some ways, this is equivalent to our National Academy of Engineering. Scientifically, Didier is responsible for the discovery of a new phase and type of instability involving dynamic transition from a lamellar phase towards a multilaminar vesicular phase that we sometimes now call as the onion phase, that really prompted the exploration of new areas of materials research that led Didier to the world of industry and the creation of two companies. In 1994, he created the company Capsulus, which is in the biotechnology space, in microencapsulation of active substances, and soon after he created the company Rio Control, which began commercialization of rheometers in 1999. During that time, he also became a member of the scientific boards of Rhône-Poulenc as well as Rhodia. Dr. Didier Roux became the Vice President of Research and Development and Innovation at Saint-Gobain in 2005, and so we're really happy to have him here today to celebrate not only the long-standing partnership between Saint-Gobain and Case, but also the profession of engineering and science. So put down your forks. Please direct your attention to helping me welcome Dr. Didier Roux as our featured speaker for the 2016 Engineers Week Banquet.
Thank you. Okay, I'm extremely proud to be with you this evening. Obviously, it's a very impressive bunch of extremely intelligent, useful, and efficient people. So I will tell you a little bit about Saint-Gobain, and I will tell you a few stories. So at the end, after the Q&A, I'll have a small experiment to do, so I will try to do that together. So let's first talk about Saint-Gobain. Saint-Gobain is probably one of the oldest industrial companies. It has been created in 1665, before United States. We are older than your country. And I have to tell the story of how it was created, because it's a very nice story. So at that time, the King Louis XIV decided with his Prime Minister Colbert to industrialize French. French was a little bit behind UK or England at that time, and we had to start industry. So Colbert had no brandy. Obviously, the government had no money at that time, no big change. And he thought, okay, let's have the king write a letter. The name is lettre patente in French, and this is important. And this letter gives the right to somebody to be the only one to be able to make something in France. In the case of Saint-Gobain, it was flat glass. So imagine that I am the one who gets this letter from the king. So the king gives me the letter. So I have the letter of the king telling that me, Didier Roux, I am the only one that can make and commercialize flat glass in France. In fact, it was to make big mirrors. At that time, mirrors were quite expensive. I have the letter, but I have no money, and I know nothing. So I have to find somebody who has the money. So I go to Jim. Jim has the money, and I tell him that we have to partner. I have the letter, he has the money. So maybe we can start something. Then I need something else. I need to have to find somebody who knows how to make a mirror. So I go to Geoffrey Darc, who is a very well-known and famous engineer that knows how to make flat glass for mirrors. And the three of us, we start a company. He has the money, I have the letter, he knows what to do. And that's the way Saint-Gobain has been created. And that was a very clever way for the government to create companies with no money. But the lettre patente, in French lettre patente, became patent in English. And as you understand now, it was the invention of what is a patent, a right to do something that, okay, at that time it was just the king who decided that. Now you have to be a little bit more clever. So the history of Saint-Gobain is obviously a very long and very nice history, but I want to show you the first invention of Saint-Gobain. That was in 1688, so what is in this list. So a few years after we created this company. First, and I will comment on that. First, I just want to emphasize the fact that we have research centers all over the world. We are a big company, more than 180,000 employees, making a lot of materials, including glass, but not only glass. And we have research centers all over the world, including Asia, but also Europe and USA. So let's come back to the Louis XIV time. So obviously the first order for Saint-Gobain was the Galerie des Glaces in Versailles. This big mirror that you can see if you have the chance to visit Versailles, in this beautiful place, where you have 70% of this mirror are still the mirror which have been made by Saint-Gobain 350 years ago. So the first invention had to do with how to make big piece of flat glass. I have to tell you that at that time, the way you were making flat glass was the following. You were blowing, obviously, glass, molten glass, in such a way that you were able to make big cylinders. And you see on this picture the way it was done. This big cylinder was made in blowing directly a piece of glass. Then after you make this big cylinder, you were cutting the two ends, making a cut in the middle, only on one side. Obviously, you were eating a little bit more the glass, and then you get a flat glass. So as you see at that time, it was not easy. It was also difficult, and you were limited in size by the capacity of the blower to make a big cylinder. So the first invention, and you see the people, it has been shuttered at that time by some people a long time ago. So you see you have a table, which is made of iron, and then you pour the glass on this table. And what you see, look at the hat of the people. The asymmetric hat is because of the heat to protect from the heat. And you are pouring the glass on the table, and like that you are making, and you have the cylinder. If you look at well, you have a cylinder. Okay, is it possible to replay the movie, please? I don't know whether it's possible. Anyway, you had this, oh yeah, you see it. So, the people in front, they were removing the dust to make the glass as clean as possible. You pour the glass, and you see just behind the glass, you have a cylinder to make, obviously, a flat glass. So, this was the most important discovery at that time, because it was possible like that to have much bigger piece of glass and made in a much more productive way. By the way, this process was still used in 1950s. So it's a process which has been used for more than 200 years. Now it's a different way. I don't have time to describe. It's obviously a much more efficient way. So let's go to the modern time. What do we do today? In fact, today, we are less and less talking about materials, less and less talking about systems. We are talking about you. What we sell is that we sell comfort. Obviously, we make a lot of material, a lot of systems, which are done to increase the comfort of people. And we are selling that in the building. Most of our activity, not the only one, but it's one of our big activity, is to sell construction material for buildings. Why are we in a building today? Why are you in a building for your family life? You will come back to your home this evening. Because you expect to be more comfortable inside than outside. I would say today, it's probably a good example that we are more comfortable inside than outside. So the main function of a building is to bring comfort. And the main function of material and systems that we sell is to help the building to be comfortable. I will come back on that. So just a list of research project and research program on which we are working, just to, and I will not list them, just that you get a feeling of the kind of science that we are doing. So let's talk about comfort. This is an house of the future, something which looks very comfortable. You are happy to be inside, whatever the weather is outside, and that's what we are all dreaming of. This is another kind of house, which is quite different from the house of the future. The shape is about the same, but obviously it's a little bit different. So I just want to give you two examples of how we can link the house of the future with the house of the past. Because in fact, what do we want in the future? We want to, in the future to have a house without consuming energy, with renewable materials, with something that doesn't hurt the planet. In the past, it was the same. Our ancestors, they don't have the energy we have, and they had to find a way to build houses as comfortable as possible, even in a climate that were very wood, in order to feel this comfort. So I just go through two examples, and I have many more than that, but obviously no time to go through. So first of all, you need an insulating material to insulate from the inside from the outside. And a modern insulating material is made of something which is basically air, immobile air which doesn't move. Because air is a very cheap material, and if you have a thickness which is big enough of air, you effectively insulate outside from inside, if the air is not moving. The way you do it through a porous material, which has to be as light as possible, without convection. So as you know, typically from outside, which is, let's say, 0 degree, inside, which is typically 20 degree, if you have air on more than 1 centimeter, you start to have convection. Taylor holes, obviously. The air will start to move, and then you will lose the capacity of insulation. So you do that with a porous material, with pores which are smaller than the length that you need to avoid Taylor holes. That, by the way, that's the reason why a double glazing, there is no way you can make it bigger. It will not insulate better. 1 centimeter is the maximum you have to use. So this insulating material is porous, but you have to avoid the wind to go through this porous material, because if the wind is going through the porous material, it will displace this air, and the air will no longer be efficient. So you put a membrane on the interior of this light material, so you have air inside this porous material and a membrane just inside to avoid the wind to go through. This is the kind of materials that we dream for the future of the housing. Aerogel, very efficient, very light, much more efficient than what I was describing, because the pores are so small that you have another phenomenon which is coming, which is very interesting. It's named the Knudsen effect. And Knudsen effect, it's when the pores are smaller than a micron, you start to have a much more efficient insulation. And this is something that is already used, but it's too expensive. So if there is somebody in this room who knows how to make very cheap aerogel, this is a really interesting material. Another example is a modern glazing. What is a modern glazing? In fact, it's an interferometer. And I'm extremely proud to describe that in this room, where Michelson, as you know, was the first Nobel Prize winner in the US, very proud to be from Case Western, and he was obviously had an interferometer that was very efficient because he's the one who, because he had no result, led Einstein to discover the relativity. So let's come back to this interferometer. So you put on, on your glass several layers, and up to 20 layers of very thin material, nanometer, in order to make a filter of the light which is going through. What you want is that the light that you see goes through the glass, but the infrared and the UV, it's stopped. And the way it works, it's very briefly explained here, is that inside you have an infrared, inside an house, you have an infrared radiation, which is basically of the order of 10 micron. And if you don't have these layers, the infrared will go through the wind, so through the window. And you feel the window is cold. It's a cold wall effect. Now, if you have these layers, the infrared, instead of going through the window, will come back to you, and you will feel comfortable. Because the radiation is coming back, it's 10 microns, it's around 20 degrees, and you feel comfortable. So that's the way modern glazing works. Let's come back to the igloo. How it works, an igloo. You agree with me that there is no way you can bring an electrical heater in an igloo to be warm. It doesn't work. Nevertheless, very often when I make this kind of conversation, I ask to the room, but this evening it will be more difficult. Who has been in a real igloo, and what is the temperature that he felt? And I give you the answer. It's around 10 degrees, 10, 12 degrees typically. You feel that you are at 10 degrees in a real igloo. Obviously, the air is not at 10 degrees. The air is at 0 or less. So how it works? First, you put an insulating material to avoid the air to have an insulating material to separate inside and outside. And you have an insulating material which is cheap because you use the snow which is around you. So you make an igloo with snow. But obviously, there is a lot of wind, and you have to avoid this wind to go through this air. The way it does it alone. When you get inside the igloo, we are warm, we have some heat. So there is a thin layer of snow which is melting. But this snow which is melting, water, is in contact with snow which is very cold. So it recrystallizes like ice. So in fact, inside an igloo, which has been working, because you have to be in an igloo which has been used, an igloo which has been used is better than a new igloo. You have to somehow, it has to be somehow trained. So you have a thin layer of ice which makes this membrane and avoid the wind to go through the wind. But that's not this that explains the 10 or 12 degrees. So this is equivalent to this modern insulating material. But there is something more. And there are students in the room, and usually I also ask a question. Why the igloo is white? And usually I get the right answer. It's white because it scatters the light. It scatters the light, but it scatters also the infrared. So where you go inside the igloo, you are emitting infrared radiation. The temperature of your skin is around 35 degrees. This infrared is obviously going against the wall of the igloo, which is scattering this radiation back to you. The feeling that you have is coming from you. You are the heater that is coming back with your radiation to you to feel effectively more comfortable. That's the way it works. So you see that, which is equivalent to the modern glazing that I have described before. So you see through these two examples that in fact, even so we make modern materials to have properties we manage and understand, our ancestors, without knowing the physics, without having a PhD from Case Western University, most of them, were able to make a home using all the tricks to make these houses comfortable. And there are many other examples, but I don't have time. So this I will come back after the question. So just to end, obviously I told you that we have research centers all over the world, but we have also university collaboration all over the world. And Bernadette Charleux, who is my deputy and working with me, is really following all these collaborations that we have all over the world. We like to have this collaboration, not only obviously to have people that we can hire and knows about the modern science and are up to date about all the progress in science and engineering, but also because it's a good way for Saint-Gobain to hire managers, high-level managers, that after have a career, very often, not always in research, but in production, marketing, or any kind of position in Saint-Gobain. So we are also very proud to be part of this Thomson Reuters Global Innovation Contest, where we are one of the 100 most innovative companies. There are not so many material companies in Google, obviously a lot of very fancy industry, but in terms of material science, we are one of the to be part of this class. I'm ready to answer to questions, and after we'll do some experiment together. Thanks a lot.
So Didier would like to give students first the opportunity to ask some questions, then alumni and others. So at this point, we'll have a brief question and answer period. So who would like to go first? Well, Didier, let me ask the first question. So you talked about the igloo, you talked about how our ancestors knew or sort of practically practiced different aspects of science. Were there other applications in either Saint-Gobain's career or lifetime or your own experience where you were very impressed with what our ancestors did, but perhaps didn't know the underlying science?
You see, I guess buildings is probably the best example because of what I explained, is that very soon our ancestors were obviously obliged to face weather that was not always comfortable. And very often you can see that in countries where the weather is very cold in winter and very hot in summer, maybe here, I don't know, you need to find a way to protect yourself without bringing energy, because at that time, as I told you, they did not have access to oil and gas and all the energies that we are using today. And you had to find a way. And I guess that this is probably the field where you have the better example of how you can find a solution without knowing the physics. I think it's not so bad to tell about it in an assembly of engineers. sometimes when you innovate, you are not always obliged to understand all the physics. And sometimes it works. Obviously, as a physicist, I prefer to understand. But as an industrial, if I don't understand if it works, it's perfectly fine. So, other questions?
So, good. All right.
Yes, you have to stand up and
Yeah.
since, okay.
So,
Yes,
I
okay.
know
I
that
don't
we-
see you, but I'm hearing you.
I'm over to the light.
Okay.
Hey there.
Okay, I have to follow the hands.
All right.
Good.
So my name is Drew Weibel. I'm a senior aerospace and mechanical engineering student here at CASE. And my question was, we have the same Gobain challenge on campus every year, or a part of it, I guess.
So speak loudly because
oh,
I
yeah,
don't
yes.
I don't hear you very well. Or closer to the microphone.
So we have the Saint Gobain Challenge is one of the challenges expressed on campus, and we have a lot of teams that compete in that. What specifically is one of the outcomes of that challenge that you've noticed, your favorite or the best one that you've noticed from that challenge?
Oh, the best outcome from the challenge you have. I'm not sure to know about all the people who have practiced this challenge. So I'm sorry, but I have hard time to answer because I don't follow it myself. I'm sure that there are people in Saint-Gobain who are doing it, but you know, I'm in charge of Saint-Gobain for the whole planet. So maybe, Brian, you know.
Yeah, one of the CASE teams that went on to develop their product was a spray team headed by Craig Lewis and some other students. Actually, Craig has gone on to form another entrepreneurial company having to do with computer security. So these guys, they learned a lot from the competition. That product actually almost went to market. It didn't get to market for corporate reasons, but they learned a lot from the competition. They learned a lot from working with Saint-Gobain mentors, and I think that was probably the standout team for my recollection.
Thank you. Anne.
Hello? Yes. Okay, I've been a judge for many years, and my favorite was the pothole filling. They used
Please, closer.
that team used a non-Newtonian fluid and put it in a hermetic bag and used it to fix potholes in the road. And it was very clever and very useful. And that was my all-time favorite.
Question. Go ahead. Stand up. Hello? What? Oh, hi. I don't know if you can see me over here. Over to. Hello. Hi.
Ah.
I'm
can
trying.
you-
This is as
I
tall
have
as I
to-
get. Hi.
Okay, so you are the last question.
Okay,
So
great.
ask the question, and I will answer. I have to move to the desk to do the experiment. I have to move to the desk in the back. I will answer to your question when I will walk to the back of the room. It's not that I don't like you. It's just that I have to answer. So please ask your question.
Okay, well, it's a pretty casual question, I suppose. Well, clearly, well, first of all, my name's Jessica. Oh, hello? Ooh,
Yes,
okay.
much better.
Hi, my name's Jessica. I'm a second-year biomedical and mechanical engineering major here at CASE. And it's pretty clear that, you know, you have a long history and a lot of experience with Saint-Gobain. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about one of your favorite projects that you've worked on?
I did not understand. In Saint-Gobain?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. You know, I'm a father of 4 kids. And it's always difficult to answer to the question, who is your favorite kid? So, I guess it's a little bit the same. You know, if I pick up one project, and there are all the others that will feel bad. So there are many examples. So it's not my favorite. It's one among many. So obviously, there is a project which is quite interesting for Saint-Gobain, which is to make active glazing. So I have to answer walking to the back, because you are the last question. So the answer is active glazing. Active glazing is a flat glass which can change with an electrical signal. So for example, a flat glass is transparent. You can tune the transparency of the glass with electricity. It's named electrochromic glazing. And we have a plant in the US that is making this electrochromic glazing. And what is interesting in this glazing is the fact that it's a glass which is changing properties controlled by electricity. And this opens up a lot of possibilities to have glass that you can completely tune for many properties in deciding yourself the kind of properties that you are looking for. Low emissivity, UV control, transparencies, and so on. And all this is probably a new field of innovation for the future. Thank you. Now I will do the experiment. I will try to do the experiment. So, we are a material company. But even material company, we have to adapt to the future. So what you have here is a small device, which is on my iPhone. It's why you see that on the screen. So what you see on the screen is my iPhone screen. And it's something which measures the comfort of this room. So you can see that, excuse me, coming back to the, okay? You see that you measure the light on the top, you measure the noise, you measure the temperature, and you measure the humidity. And we can have more. And this tells you about how comfortable is or is not this room. And each one, for example, light. Okay, I'm sorry it's in French because I have the French version, but you can understand that the light is a little bit low. The comfortable way, it's in the middle. And you have on the screen the value that you measure there to tell you what it means. And we can do that for many things. But I have recorded what happens in this room since the beginning of this dinner. So, I just show you the result. Okay, so this is for the light. This is for the temperature. This is for the noise. And this is for the humidity. And you can record that all along the day. And what happens with this device is not available. It's something that we have developed for our employees. And what we want to do and what we do is that you can have like that records, let's say 5-10 minutes, where they are, in a restaurant, in a meeting room, in their bedroom, wherever they want. And they can record that and tell us whether it's comfortable or not. And that goes, and we get the data in some kind of cloud, big data cloud, and we can analyze this data. And think about it, 180,000 people who tell us in different places whether they are comfortable or not, measuring what has to do with the comfort, temperature, humidity, light, and noise. It's a good way to try to correlate measurements of physics to what we feel in terms of comfort. And if we have thousands and thousands of these records, we can start to have a good feeling of how do we feel comfortable or not comfortable, and make better material and better system. So with that, I thank you a lot and have a very nice dinner.
So, good evening. So what I'd like to do is introduce Shadi Ahmad Mahabri. Shadi is one of our students, and of course, the last thing, if you looked at the program, is recognition of one of our faculty. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Shadi.
Hi everyone, can you all hear me? Okay. My name is Shadi Madmarabi, and I'm here on behalf of the Ohio Alpha chapter of the Tau Beta Pi Engineering Honor Society. And I'm here to present the annual Srinivasa P. Goody Memorial Engineering Teaching Award. Srinivasa Prasad Guti, or Vasu, graduated summa cum laude from the Case School of Engineering with a bachelor's degree in biomedical engineering and was an exceptional member of the Tau Beta Pi community. He was also the recipient of the Chairman's Award in Biomedical Engineering. He accepted admission into the Case Western School of Medicine with a full scholarship and was to begin his medical education there in the fall of 2004. Unfortunately, Vasu was taken from this world before he was able to fulfill his promise of becoming a doctor. To commemorate Vasu, Tau Beta Pi has created the Srinivasa P. Goody Memorial Engineering Teaching Award in a partnership with the Case School of Engineering. This award seeks to acknowledge a faculty member who has shown exemplary dedication to undergraduate teaching. Each year, Tau Beta Pi members are given the opportunity to nominate their professors, then select a winner. All nominees are interviewed, and a professor is selected every year, despite how difficult it is to narrow down the incredible nominees. This year's nominees were Dr. Corey Christensen, Physics, Dr. Chris Fiatkowitz, Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, Dr. Mario Garcia Sanz, Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, Dr. Mike Hoare, Macromolecular Science and Engineering, Dr. Aika Manas Zlakzauer, Macromolecular Science and Engineering. The 2016 Srinivasa P. Goody Memorial Teaching Award is given to Dr. Chris Fiatkowitz, and let's learn a little bit more about why Dr. Fiatkowitz is so deserving of this award.
Hi, my name is Madeline Gelb. I'm a senior polymer engineering student, and I'm from Oakland, California. I took a freshman programming class for engineers with Chris. He taught programming for engineers who weren't planning on programming in computer science. I nominated Chris for the award because he's a really engaging teacher. He does all sorts of crazy things in class, like throwing beach balls, playing guitar, singing songs, wearing crazy wigs. Chris is really willing to do anything it takes for students to learn. He isn't afraid of being silly and goofy and doing all these crazy stunts just to get students engaged and excited about what he's excited about, which is programming.
When I got out of college, I ran away from academia. I thought I hated it, but it turned out I was just really opinionated about how people should teach. But I got tired of making technology without any human connection. So a strange thing happened. One day, a local music store that I went to was hosting a band camp for teenagers, and they asked me if I would coach some students. I said, sure. It turned out to be the most frustrating but fulfilling thing I had ever done in my life. So I tried teaching part-time a little bit at a local college and found out that the long hours were really fulfilling because I thought I was impacting people's lives. So I got hooked. I really wanted to make learning more fun for the students, engage them. It was a long lecture, so I thought of things like using my own interests. I play guitar, so I brought in my guitar. Students really enjoyed the change of pace. I started writing songs about computer programming, which students thought couldn't be done, so that was fun. And then I started bringing in props and costumes, and students began telling me that these were things they recognized, like I might dress up as Galileo and they know who that is, or I might throw a football or a water balloon, and they know what these things are, and it sort of served as a mnemonic device, they would tell me, to help them remember the material, and it sort of broke the ice and made everything more comfortable in this stuffy lecture hall.
So Chris really will do anything. He was teaching us, I believe, input arguments for programming, and he wanted it to cement it in our minds. So he got out these water balloons, put a water poncho on, and let students pelt him with water balloons, basically. And I don't know that I remember that exact lecture, but I know I won't think of input arguments without remembering water balloons.
Everybody gets a big kick out of the robot that I bring on the first day of class. This is Robo Sapien, who likes to grunt and do silly things. He even dances. On Halloween, I often bring in my pirate eye patch and a little plastic sword to talk about something. Everything that I bring in has some connection to the computer programming aspect, and it's always fun and exciting when I can come up with the goofiest, silliest way to make somebody think of an idea from computer programming, and they seem to have fun. I'm really honored and flattered to get the award. Thanks to whoever nominated me and the panel that had to evaluate the nominees. I also have to thank my supporting cast. There are a lot of other people that put a lot of work into this course, my awesome teaching assistants, James Eller and his entire team at ESS, and all of the support that I get from the students.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Chris Beekwitz.
Boy, am I glad that is over. I just want to say thanks to Tau Beta Pi and everybody who works on trying to make the difficult decision with the process. Maddie, thank you very much. I want to say for myself and on behalf of all the faculty here, this is to the students, it is our privilege to have you in our class. Okay, so thank you very much for being a part of our lives.
Okay, that's it. Enjoy your evening.